J-Math.
So to be good in these type of questions, you really need to study your square numbers and your cube numbers. So I made you a list. Squares you need to remember until like 12 squared, 144. That's your times tables you learned in primary school. So all of you know that off by heart, I'm sure. And then you also need to know your cube numbers, but only until 5 cubed. So 125 would be safe. Okay, let's look at a question. Determine between which two integers the root of 73 lies. Okay, step 1. Look at the list of square numbers and identify where you would put 73. I am just going to put it there. So I can say, oh, I can know that 73 lies between 64 and 81. I'm going to put all of them in roots. And then I know root of 64 is 8 and root of 81 is 9. And that's how I would write my final answer. Now, please remember they are going to give you a mark for this step. Okay, it feels redundant and that you're just writing extra. But remember, your calculator can give you the bottom answer. The the teacher is really going to mark that middle step to see if you actually know what you're doing, or if you just type it in the calculator, saw the answer was 8,4, and then said, oh, it's between 8 and 9. Then you're not going to get full marks. Please write down your square numbers. The next question, determine between which two integers the cube root of 100 lies. Okay, so now that we know our list of cube numbers, I know 100 lies between 64, which is 4 cubed, and 125, which is 5 cubed. So that's why I would first identify where it lies. Then I'm going to write it in cube root form, because remember, I'm going to get marks for this step. And then I need to rewrite my final answer as that number lies between 4 and 5. Okay, guys, that's very short questions, but you do need to study those numbers. Otherwise, they can get you and you can lose these marks easily. Lastly, they can ask you questions about pi. This one you do type in the calculator. Okay, you don't need to memorize anything. Just type it in the calculator. So now they're trying to trick me because it's not just pi, 3.14. It is actually minus 2 pi. Just type it in the calculator. Calculator tells me it's 6,283, and then it goes on forever. Now, I know that that number lies between 6 and 7, but because there's a minus in front, I'm going to write it as minus 7 is smaller than minus 2 pi, which is smaller than minus 6. And that's how I would get full marks for that question. Let's do a few examples so you can actually see how you would write it in your exams. So, determine between which two integers root 30 lies. So I'm going to start my question by writing root 30 in 2 lines. And now I know I need to write it as it lies between. And now, step 1, identify where it lies between the square numbers. Now I know 5 squared is 25 and 6 squared is 36. So therefore I can say I know it lies between 25 and 36, but if I then take the squares of that numbers, or the square roots, this would be 5, and this would be 6, and that's my answer. Question B, determine between which two integers minus root 50 lies. So I'm going to start with that. And now I know 50 lies between 49 and 64. So I'm going to say 64 on this side, because remember I'm going to the negative side, and then 49 there. This is then minus 8, and this is then minus 7. Great, final answer. Question C, determine between which two integers minus the cube root of 80 lies. Okay, so my cube numbers tells me that that lies between 64 and 125. Because it's negatives, I can put the 64 on the right-hand side. And remember, it's cube root, and then cube root of 125, but it's also negative. So this is minus 5, and this is minus 4. And that's what the memo wants. Lastly, question D, determine between which two integers half of pi lies. Now, step 1, I am going to type that in my calculator. It would tell me this would be half of pi, which is then 1.57. So for your teacher, you can just write pi over 2 equals 1.57, and therefore pi over 2 would lie between 1 and 2. So there's no middle step there. They wanted you to see that you needed to use the calculator and then type it in. Okay, guys, I hope this made sense. Very short questions, easy marks, but please don't let them catch you out and you lose marks because you didn't write it correctly. Please practice this because you can score easily in this section.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
J-Math.